you going?
I hate this house! I hate this house!
They're back. Press conferences are back. Kayleigh Macaroni's gonna say stuff, and it's gonna all be lies. Hooray! Hey Chuck, welcome to the live stream. I'm your host Kevin Williams. This is what we're gonna do. We're gonna watch a little TV. We're gonna sit back and we're gonna watch the press secretary of the United States, who is also at the same time part of the Trump campaign, because Hatch Act. And we are going to talk about it together. And hopefully Kayleigh starts melting the alien stuff out of her, and then she's another one of them. Then it explains everything. It's Friday. I've decided to make it Friday Cry Day. If you got something to bitch about, bring it out. Let's hear it. I'll tell you something that I'm bitching about. They upgraded the software that I use, Premiere Pro, to make that crawl right beside us here that says 257,000 dead. I haven't updated it yet this morning. Let's see. But when they upgraded it, it went back like 6 months. And so it's still advertising our amazing charity that we did together for the African students in Kenya on October 3rd. So I got to change that. Which, by the way, you all did a tremendous job. We raised $30-some thousand. Saw a charity thing on the Facebooker yesterday, and I was like, oh, I want to donate to that. But it was for someone's birthday, and it was a long time ago, and so you can't donate anymore. But I'll figure out how to donate. It's good. This is Friday Cry Day, so bring it out. Let's see what's going on here. We'll pull up the Fox. In moments, White House press briefing. Let's join that live. It won't be in moments. It'll be 20 minutes later or whatever. We got stuff to watch.
Or do those two worlds.
Dr. Howard's account was suspended. Notified most of you my backup account. Please follow it. Okay, so everybody follow Dr. Howard. If you got a notification from her to follow it. I don't know if I did or not. Hold on. Kayleigh Daughter sent me something here. Boop. Okay, there we go. No. Okay, she was wondering if I had hydrogen in the car. She's driving by herself. Yesterday, Kayleigh Daughter, this isn't Cry Day, but yesterday, Kayleigh Daughter was out. She was doing a show. She got a COVID test. She did that, and I didn't have to drive her there at 5 a.m., and I didn't have to pick her up at 10 p.m. It was wonderful. If you got kids, get them driving. As soon as they turn 8, 9 years old, it'll take a weight off your shoulders. Your dirt button is itchy? That happens. I could tell you a story about yesterday, which I won't. Did y'all see Rudy Giuliani blowing his nose and then wiping it all over his face? We should find that. Hold on. While they're doing this, let's find that, and because that's important. I'll find it over here. Give me a second. Somebody sent it to me, I think. Hold on. Let's make this the background right now. There we go. I like that. Good job, Chris Wilson. He's worth every penny of the 38 cents he gives us per annum. Let's go to the Twitters. This is low-key. It's early here. I'm a little low-key. That's where the expression comes from, being a little bit low-key. That's where it happens. Hillary Clinton tweeted, protecting one man's ego is not worth damaging the legitimacy of our democracy. Shut up, loser. Takes one to know one. And then Laura Ingraham then snapped back. Says the woman who routinely claimed she won the 2016 election. I don't think she says she won it. I think she says the Russians interfered with it, and they did. And that's been proven multiple times. I did see the new farce. No, wait. Did I see the new farce background? Oh, not newer than that one. That's the last one I saw. Hold on, Chris. I'll look for that. So it's Friday. It's Friday Cry Day. If you got bitches, bring them out. I want to hear your bitch sessions. What are we doing? We were looking for Rudy. Hold on. Let's go here. There we go. Okay. Okay, here we go. Giuliani press conference. And let's find... It's got to be here somewhere. No. No, that's not it. Let's do this. Let's go back up here and let's do blows nose. I wonder, here it is. Okay.
Yeah.
Watch this, everybody. Just make sure that you haven't eaten recently. This is the guy in charge of the president's law stuff.
Yo, watch my man's over here. Yo, takes out the handkerchief, blowing his nose, takes it booger side in, smears his hands all over it, wipes it into his lips, all over his face. Son, he's wiping snot all over his face, smearing his hands into it. Looks like shit, bro. And he's gonna fucking touch the podium. Yo.
We missed that yesterday on the live stream. We were paying attention to crazy Sidney Pollock or whoever that is that's talking. Let's go back to see if this has started. It has not. What's John Roberts got to say for himself?
Talk potentially about how the electors will be seated so that they can vote on December the 14th.
Okay, they're doing that thing. Let's, how can I do this? I think I can do this way here. Here we go. I'm going to pull him over here so I can watch him over here. Oh, you know what I can do? You know what I can do, kids? I'm just going to leave that like that. And we're going to drag this so I can watch it over here. We'll pull up the White House. I'll watch the White House feed. And as soon as they turn that on, then we know we're getting close. So what we're going to do is we'll go yesterday. We'll watch a little in Hannity. It's not funny, says Marcy, because she is snot, and it's snot funny. Hey, if you want to get it on the chat room, you know what? I'm not even good call to action. Whatever. Let's go back to the main feed. I'm Loki. I got no energy. I didn't sleep much last night. This is Friday Cry Day, so I'm gonna bitch about it. YouTube was giving you issues? That's my life. That stream we did yesterday that I left running until this morning so that you guys could chat. People kept checking in. I was like, is this live? Is this happening? What's going on? That's your guys' voice, by the way. YouTube demonetized it. I don't know why. They want content. That was content. That was blazing 12 hours of content they got right there. That's bonus content. They should be happy. They should double monetize it. Hold on, let's look up Hannity from last night. I know that Kayleigh was on. I watched a little bit of his monologue. Oh, she's right there. Hold on, let's see what Kayleigh has to say about all of this.
Based on a fake dossier. We are pursuing real claims based on authentic, under oath affidavits and evidence. There is a huge difference. The
bulk of the dossier was about Trump being aided by Russia. It was about Russia wanting to put Trump into power, and that's what happened. Not really that fake.
And the media followed that hook, line, and sinker, and they won't pay attention to these real things that we are seeing on the ground across the country.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to keep following the story. The mob is ignoring. Amazing, because they bought every conspiracy theory on Russia for 3 years, and they lied for 3 years.
Well, that's because there was plenty of collusion, and the GOP Senate Intel Committee confirmed that. Mueller report confirmed that. Barr said, no, that didn't happen, but we're kind of familiar with Barr now.
3 years. All right, thank you both. All right, joining us now with more. Kayleigh Macaroni is back with us with an update. Apparently you got a big story out of Philadelphia or Pennsylvania emerging. What did you find there?
That's right. I spoke with an election law attorney just before coming to air. And a provisional ballot, Sean, is what you cast when you show up to the polls and they say, no, you're ineligible to vote, but we'll let you cast this just in case we're wrong. There are a lot of folks who have texted me, and I do have declarations to this end that said, I showed up
Oh, hold on. People have texted her, so let's overturn the election.
and was told someone casted a mail-in ballot.
This is the press secretary for the White House, the executive branch's spokesperson. She's pretty, but isn't she pretty? Doesn't understand that casted, not a word. Cast is the past tense of cast. They cast their vote. Nobody casted their vote on November 3rd, especially in Pennsylvania. Most of them was November 4th, November 5th, sometimes 6th. You just backdate it. That's what you do. Casted.
On my behalf, one I never cast. So I cast this
Cast it.
provisional ballot because someone, unbeknownst
Wait, did she just use
in
it?
case we're wrong. There are a lot of folks who have texted me, and I do have declarations to this end that said, I showed up and was told someone casted a mail-in ballot on my behalf, one I never cast. So I cast this provisional ballot because
Okay, she's using both words. Why? Why use the casted? Maybe she's quoting the person. No, she said casted before. This is one of my pet peeves with her. Again, this is the lady that we're paying $185,000 taxpayer money. Okay, the press conference might be starting now. They just turned on the feed. I'll pay attention to it.
someone, unbeknownst to me, voted by mail. Well, I found out tonight that 100,000 of these provisional ballots were cast. That is roughly
Casted!
4 times the amount in 2016. And even the liberal Philadelphia Inquirer has said this. This meant that people showed up, were told they were ineligible to vote, casted these ballots, and it's all because of mail-in voting. So
I promise you that the liberal Philadelphia Inquirer did not say casted. I promise you that.
it is really astonishing when you look at the statistical anomalies.
Okay, what else? I mean, you've been the one that's been showing all the affidavits on this program, and I love how the media, didn't they say that they were blank pages?
Yeah, they said they were blank pages, and I have stacks of
I like how her dress matches her eyes, though. That's pretty. That's nice. She looks pretty. She's a pretty person. How many people? 190,000. 190,000 new cases of the Cove yesterday. 190,000. We're going to hit 200,000. We can do it, people. USA! USA! How many people have died now in the United States? Let's take a quick look here, because this is fun. This is what we do in the morning. 258,829. I'll put that into our magic crawl. 258. Hold on. I'm coming back to you. 829. Okay, that's updated. Now I can make a new crawl that doesn't advertise the stupid charity. You know, the charity sent me a check. The charity tried to pay me for doing that ridiculous live stream that we did. I said, just donate it to the charity. That's probably illegal. I'm going to go to jail. Trump will end up with a television station scot-free, and I'm going to go to jail because I said, no, charity, please just take the money back. That's the way it works. No good deed. Trump has never done a good deed, and that's why he's the president of the United States. I'm gonna update it. Hold on. Okay, the feed is on, but the press conference hasn't started yet. Let me process this. This is the least professional broadcast you're going to see on the YouTubes all day today. I promise you that. I'm making a lot of promises today. Friday's promise day. Oh, here we go. Here we go, kids. It's starting, I promise.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
The beginning of the end of the pandemic started with the leadership of President Trump. In recent days, Pfizer and Moderna reported the highly successful results of their vaccine development, each achieving a COVID vaccine that is over 90% effective. We know Moderna is 94.5% effective, Pfizer 95%. That is extreme.
I don't know why she's under cheesecloth right now. I don't know what the filter's going on there. A lot of the press are heavily smoking. I have no idea what's going on.
Extraordinary. In July, the Trump administration, as part of Operation Warp Speed, agreed to provide Pfizer with $1.95 billion to manufacture and distribute their COVID vaccine.
No, they agreed that if you are successful, Pfizer, we will buy your product. She's just twisting the words there. Pfizer wanted no part of Operation Warp Speed. They wanted to just sell their product. So they developed it on their own with some aid from the German government and came up with the first vaccine that seems to work, which is great. But Trump is trying to take credit for that happening. Now, why would Trump try and take credit for something that he didn't do? Well, God knows that's not something that he ever does. I can tell you, actually. I know exactly why. Let's check in with Mr. Trump here in a second. And people are confused by this. People honestly are out there saying, like, I don't know. I don't understand. Here it is. Okay. Well, that's weird. That doesn't work. Let's see if it does work. Let's pull it up here. Here it is.
Sometimes, in life, and you have to do this, if you're not going to get credit, you might as well take it yourself because you're the only one that's going to give it. Sure.
It's true. True. That's what Trump does. And he wrote that in one of his books as well. That you just got to take credit. You have nothing to do with it. Go ahead. Just take it.
Allowing this vaccine to be provided free for the American people.
Allowing it?
While Democrats were pursuing a highly divisive...
How is that allowing it? Nobody asked for permission. They're buying it, and that's good. Let's just brag about that. We're buying a bunch of doses, and it's going to be free. He's not permitting it.
An entirely baseless impeachment endeavor.
She's wearing a green screen. Oh. Hold on.
As far back as January 13th, this president, the Trump administration, and the National Institute of Health was partnering with Moderna and working on this vaccine for the American people. But that's not all. This administration has remained engaged on the development and distribution of a safe and effective vaccine throughout the year. Began in January and continued thereafter. On May 15th, Operation Warp Speed was launched. On September 16th, we released 2 documents outlining a strategy to deliver a safe and effective vaccine. These documents were the strategic distribution overview and the interim playbook for state, tribal, territorial, and local health programs and partners. On September 23rd, we provided $200 million to jurisdictions to support plans for eventual distribution. On October 14th, we provided $31 million to Sitvia for vaccine-related consumable products. On October 16th, we made agreements with CVS and Walgreens to administer vaccines to residents of long-term care facilities. On October 21st, under the PrEP Act, we issued guidance authorizing qualified pharmacy technicians to administer the vaccine. On October 30th, we announced that McKesson Corporation will produce, store, and distribute vaccine ancillary supply kits on behalf of the Strategic National Stockpile to help healthcare workers who will administer the vaccines. And on November 12th, we announced the partnership with large chain pharmacies and independent regional ones to deliver safe and effective vaccines. The unprecedented response to this pandemic has already saved many American lives. And as you can see, this timeline was ongoing. This was a long process and one that we are very proud of. Now, with multiple safe and effective vaccines just around the corner, we urge all Americans to wash your hands, socially distance, wear a mask when you cannot do so. And with that, I'll take questions. Kevin.
Kayleigh,
Yeah.
thanks. I'm going to ask you a question that I
many.
ask fairly often away from the White House, and that is with respect to what Rudy Giuliani and the legal team on the campaign side had to say yesterday. People asked, let's suggest that, yes, there is evidence of fraud, irregularities, even malicious intent with respect to vote totals. The question is, what then would be the pathway or strategy to overturn what the campaign believes is a flawed election? Are we talking about a judicial pathway? Are we talking about a legislative pathway? And a follow-up, how soon might Americans be able to get their hands on a COVID vaccine?
Yes, so to your first point, I would say this. There's been multiple pieces of litigation filed across the country by various individuals, the campaign and others. I will leave it to the campaign to make those determinations as to how to proceed. But the president's been very clear. He wants every legal vote to be counted and to make sure no illegal votes are counted. But with regard to a vaccine, we believe that there will be 40 million doses available by the end of the year. Again, this is extremely extraordinary. This is the fastest vaccine in history by fivefold. It's really extraordinary progress. You've heard Dr. Fauci, among others, say that, and it was only made possible because of this president who said, at the same time I'm pursuing a vaccine, I'm going to do something novel. I'm going to manufacture it. So many American lives will be saved thanks to President Trump and the great work of Operation Warp Speed.
Can I follow up one more? Just one thing about the...
A 250,000 people are dead because Trump's CDC failed to get a working test out there in February. That's why so many people are dead, and they continue to die because Trump has downplayed the virus by his own admission over and over and over again. And people they don't take it seriously.
The COVID vaccine, is there a concern inside the White House that a lack of working with a potential or presumptive President-elect Biden team will somehow slow down the distribution of the COVID vaccine?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that question. It's an important one, and not in the slightest, because in fact I did hear the former vice president say yesterday he was concerned about not being able to distribute a vaccine. He shouldn't be. Maybe he hasn't seen, but we have publicly available that plan that I mentioned in my opening. It's the COVID-19 vaccination program, the interim playbook for jurisdiction operations. This is publicly available if the former vice president would like to read through it. Beyond that, I would say that we've already, going back months, partnered with the 64 jurisdictions in this country to make sure that they each had individualized distribution plans. Those have been assessed. Those have been made certain that they're good and operational. So this work has been ongoing. There's a distribution plan in place, which is why you heard General Perna say yesterday that within 24 hours of getting that EUA, the emergency use authorization, we will be able to distribute this all across the country.
When are you going to admit you lost?
Yes, Kevin? Yeah. Sorry, Mario.
Okay. Thanks, Kayleigh.
What
is the president planning to discuss this afternoon with the two Michigan lawmakers?
So Kevin Corke is there? That was the last guy who asked the question. Then she calls the next black guy Kevin. But she does know the difference. Just funny. Just funny because it's racist.
And will he ask them to have the state legislature appoint electors who will support his reelection? What's the nature of that meeting?
So he will be meeting later on. This is not an advocacy meeting. There will be no one from the campaign there. He routinely meets with lawmakers from all across the country.
Nothing special. Nothing special. He's just calling in two people from Michigan who are related to the election. They're both Republicans. He just wants to have a little conversation with them. He's not going to advocate for anything. It's not a campaign thing. It routinely meets with people in charge of elections all over the country. It's not a big deal. Let's move on.
You lost the election. Kayleigh, at what point does the president concede the race?
I think that's Brian Karem in the background saying, hey, he lost the election. And it was John Carlson who stood up yesterday. It was just like, what is happening?
And allow for a proper transition to the Biden team.
So right now there's ongoing litigation. There are, what we know, 74 million Americans that voted for this president. That's more votes than any president has gotten in history. It's really extraordinary, and there are very real claims out there that the campaign is pursuing.
But the other guy got more votes. See, that's how this works.
34 pages of affidavits publicly available in one county alone, that's Wayne County, and two individuals on the canvassing board there that have declined to certify. So these are real claims. These individuals deserve...
They have certified. She's lying. They've certified this. It is certified. The Wayne County board certified it. Now they're saying, you know what? I don't want to certify it anymore. That's done. The bill has been... Unring that. Go ahead. Can't be done. There's nothing in the guidelines, the laws of Michigan that allow you to go back and say, you know what, now that we've sent it away and it's been certified, I don't want to do that. There's nothing in there.
To be heard. This was a system that had never been tried in American history, mass mail-out voting. It's one that we have identified as being particularly...
That has been tried many, many times in U.S. history. 5 states do it on a regular basis. 9 states now. I mean, we didn't even double the number of states that do the mass mail-out. It's nonsense. Washington, Oregon, Colorado, Utah, red Utah, Hawaii. They've all been doing this now. It's not a new thing. And by the way, having voted in Washington and then in California, where when I registered to vote in California, I just registered and said, always do mail-in. Just check that box, and I'm always going to get a mail-in ballot. Washington, every time, last, 16 years, 20 years, whatever it's been in Washington. I know Oregon started in 2000, Washington shortly after that. We just, I got a ballot in the mail. Okay, good. Got my voter's guide, or I can look it up online, but it's good. It's not a new thing. This is not dangerous.
Really prone to fraud, so those claims
It is not prone to fraud?
deserve to be pursued.
Has anyone from the White House
Why isn't there a follow-up question to that? Why doesn't someone say, no, Kayleigh, it's just not prone to fraud. Studies have been done.
spoken with GSA, with the director of GSA, about the timing of ascertaining who the next president will be, and has any pressure been applied to her?
Absolutely not. GSA will make the determination of ascertainment at the right moment. Right now, there's a constitutional process that's being played out. There are questions being asked in court, but the GSA will determine when ascertainment is reached.
Can I just ask one other question, which is Senator Lamar Alexander today has put out a statement encouraging the Trump administration, in the absence of ascertainment, to begin allowing the Biden team access.
Nothing to lose. If he turns out to win the election, which isn't going to happen, but let's just say he wins the election, that's fine. It's not like Biden is a security risk. He already has top secret clearance because he was vice president. It's not an issue.
Full access to everything they need for a transition, access to agencies, access to real-time data. What's the harm in doing that?
So there's a Presidential Transition Act that determines exactly what an administration needs to do in advance of an election, and we have done everything statutorily required, and we will continue to do that.
It's after the election now.
Thank you. I have a question first, a follow-up on the transition. Has the president or anyone in the administration instructed officials not to engage or have conversations with members of the Biden transition team?
No, I've certainly never been instructed that. I've never heard of an instruction to that end.
Okay, and my second...
Why would someone from the Biden transition team call her? Yeah, do you have any advice on where I can buy a dress that's ripped across, like, just in general? I know you're wearing a green screen today, but usually you've got something that's sort of torn. Where do I get one of, like you were escaping from an alien and it grabbed you with its claw, like where?
Question is about COVID, because yesterday a lot of what we heard from the doctors, they've been saying since the end of March.
Yeah.
Back then the projections were that 100,000 Americans would die.
Yeah.
Now, as you know, we've surpassed that by 2.5 times. Did the administration fail to communicate how serious this threat was to the American people? Or how?
I love me some Weijia Zhang. Don't get me wrong. But what's Kayleigh going to say here? Yes, we did. We failed miserably, and Americans died because of it, which is why Biden won. I mean, when you look at it.
How else do you explain what went wrong?
Look, I would say
They finished the question well. Good job, Weijia.
Initial projection that our doctors gave us was 2 million people that would
That's if we did absolutely nothing.
Lose their lives, and it's a tragedy anytime.
And by the way, that wasn't our doctors, that was England.
One life is lost, but we are far below the 2 million that this could have been. We took very aggressive measures at the beginning of this with the China travel ban, creating the greatest testing system in the entire world.
It's not even close.
Therapeutics, the fact that we have 6 working therapeutics right now, the fact that we can...
By the way, I didn't even know this until yesterday. I was talking to Kevin Lee's daughter, and she gets COVID tests on a regular basis. When she works, they test her. They do a PCR test, so the heavy test that's more accurate, that finds the RNA of the virus, which is like DNA. She gets that. And then a couple of days before she starts working, and then every day that she works, she gets the rapid test, which is a little less accurate, but is good. And then she also will, because she has been exposed, and let's say that you get exposed one day, you're not going to show the virus for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 days. You don't know. It germinates differently in people. So she will go and get other tests. She'll head down to CVS and she makes an appointment on an app, and she goes down to CVS. We go through the drive-thru, poke the nose, good to go. So she gets COVID tests on a fairly regular basis. When she does that still with CVS, she uses another app that schedules through CVS. I forget what the app is called. But she has to fake a symptom. She has to say, like, yeah, I have a headache or something. You still have to have a symptom to get tested. in a lot of jurisdictions, which is ridiculous. Remember back in March where Dr. Scarf was saying in another 2 weeks we'll be like at the stage where we can do surveillance. Where Admiral Girard was saying, oh yeah, by end of March, 20 million tests. Pff, easy. We'll cover that. Remember the Remember the saliva test we were all going to have? We're going to spit in a cup at home and send it in? And that was July. A couple of weeks, 2 weeks, in 2 weeks' time, we're going to have all of that.
Continue to identify more and more. The fact that I believe we have a chart on this, a fatality chart. It's deaths by 100 for age and month. And as you can see, deaths have come down for every age group. And for those over 70, that line, that red line, is a testament to what this president has done. Therapeutics, monoclonal antibodies, that is a recent one, that reduces hospitalization in high-risk seniors with moderate to mild COVID by 70%. That's American ingenuity rising to the occasion, and President Trump oversaw all of this. But of course, we are seeing cases rise, and it's very...
That's because we've increased testing. That's why that is. I mean, yes, we've done a little bit with therapy. By the way, World Health Organization came out yesterday and said remdesivir doesn't seem to do anything, really. We need to stop with the remdesivir. People can have side effects from it. But from the World Health Organization testing, it doesn't really have that much of an effect on patients. And it was the first drug that the FDA approved to actually treat COVID. I haven't done a deep dive into that, so I don't know what's true. But the bottom line is try not to get COVID.
Very important. Wash your hands, socially distance. We're taking this seriously.
Do you think the mixed messaging contributed to that? Because just this week, for example, yesterday...
Ruth Ann says her daughter is an actress in the New York City area, and it's the same deal. But the delay in getting the PCR results back has forced more of the rapid testing. Yeah, every state has their own guidelines. I think Georgia was the first to allow acting. But they didn't have recommendations for daily testing either. But the studios that Kayleigh daughter has been working with, I can tell you now because it's on the air, the last studio, well, one of the last studios, the one where she was on it almost every day, was the Peacock Network, which is NBC, so it was done at Universal. So she would go to Universal Studios, and everybody who went into Universal Studios every day would get a rapid test. And the studio pays for it, of course. That's kind of what you do. That's as safe as you can be. And if you're going to the grocery store, if you're and working at the grocery store, we should have tests everywhere. Yesterday, her test was spit in a cup. No, that wasn't. Yeah, that was no her. So her PCR test or RNA test from a couple days ago, the long one, it has been up the nose for a while now. Every once in a while, it's a swab. They gave her a little vial and she spit into the vial, but it took her a while because she doesn't get a lot of spit, I guess. So she took her a while to get enough spit to fill up the vial to the point where they said, yeah, that's good. She doesn't spit. My daughter doesn't spit well.
Vice President Pence wanted to make clear that they supported state and local decision making. Just 2 days ago, you called some of those state guidelines Orwellian. So how do you expect people to know what to do with all this mixed messaging?
Well, two things.
Good question. She did. She called any kind of lockdown or shutdown or guidelines for, hey, wear a mask, Orwellian.
Can happen at once, and it's this: taking COVID seriously, engaging in aggressive mitigation, but also recognizing that the American people have certain freedoms. And it is by definition Orwellian for a state like Oregon to say, if you have more than 6 people in your family congregate in your home, we can jail you for 30 days. That's not the American way. The American...
Has anyone seen a fact check on that? I haven't even looked it up because it just... No one's going to get jailed in Oregon. I mean, maybe? I don't know. It's so crazy. Oregon's in trouble.
People know the CDC recommendations, know the guidelines. We've been talking about this for 10 months, but the American people still have certain freedoms, still have autonomy, and still can make important self-responsibility decisions themselves.
Here's the basic problem with that. You're making decisions for other innocent people. When you become a spreader, when you decide not to take safety precautions and you catch it. Now, some people just catch it. It's just, you're a certain number, even wearing masks, some people are just going to catch it. That's the way the disease works. It's extremely infectious. But if you don't take the precautions and you do catch it and you're intentionally not taking the precautions, you can spread it to somebody else who is taking the precautions, and they die. That's why mandates are, and this has been settled, by the way. The Supreme Court settled this. Quarantines, mandates, etc. was settled. The states have the right to do this. It was Gibbons v. Ogden, 1824. This has been the law for almost 200 years. It's constitutional.
Yes, Deborah.
Thank you, Kayleigh, and nice to see you.
Good to see you.
Last night, Tucker Carlson said that campaign attorney Sidney Powell had failed to provide evidence for her assertion.
This mask right here, this is an N95 mask that he's wearing. That's an N95, the KN95 most likely. Those will protect you. Regular masks, they found, also provide a level of protection because the virus will often piggyback on droplets. And droplets, regular mask will stop the droplets. And will stop the droplets coming from other people as well, as long as they're wearing masks. So it does. Recent studies have shown that masks actually do provide some protection for yourself, regular masks. These respirators, KN95s, like that, not that, those will actually protect the user as well.
About communist money in the 2020 election. And Byron York, another journalist who's been very fair to this White House, said that it was a turning point, Rudy Giuliani and the conduct at that press conference, where Republicans were feeling that the legal maneuvers just aren't working. So did you all have a reaction to that when you saw that and read about it?
Okay, so Oregon consequences up to 30 days in jail or fine of $1,250. Okay, but no jury is ever going to convict on that. It's one of those like, oh, we could do this. Maybe in Oregon, maybe in Portland. Maybe a jury would convict somebody and they could spend 30 days in jail.
Again, that would be a question for the campaign. We at the White House are aggressively working on COVID, winding down the wars in Afghanistan and Iraq, among other issues. There will be a drug pricing announcement later in the afternoon as well.
Kayleigh, since I'm the cooler, could I ask a question for Jackson Richmond of the Jewish News Syndicate, who couldn't be here because of social distancing? And his question is about Jonathan Pollard. His parole conditions are set to expire tomorrow. Is the president willing to commute his parole conditions or pardon him if the DOJ extends Pollard's parole? Have you been getting any calls from the Jewish and pro-Israel community to take action on this case?
I haven't heard about that. I haven't looked into the particular case, but if he shoots me an email, we'll take a look at his question.
Thank you.
Yes.
So back to the topic of concession, like we said earlier, is there something that the president needs to see before making that call? Is it the end of these lawsuits, whenever they do wrap up, all of them, states certifying results or different counties, or December 14th when the Electoral College casts its ballots?
Look, the president, again, is pursuing ongoing litigation, taking it day by day, and we'll wait for that litigation to play out.
So just to clarify, it's the end of that litigation that we would need to see before getting a call?
There's an entire constitutional process of electors casting their ballots, and I will leave that to the president. Yes.
And if you guys remember, in 2016, Trump came out the night of the election and said, we don't really know who won until the Electoral College does the voting, so we're just going to wait. I'm not going to celebrate. We're not going to hold this over here. Right now, it appears that I have more votes, but we're going to let this play out constitutionally. Remember that? That was great. I was like, this guy, he's pivoted. That's presidential.
Thank you, Kayleigh. Contrary to the court of media opinion, there is real-time data showing vast irregularities in the voting system that we have watched over the last few weeks. I asked this question of the campaign, and I ask this of you now, the White House.
This is OAN, by the way.
Is our FBI in this entire scheme? Are they looking at any of the evidence that this White House or the campaign have presented in terms of real-time data evidence of voter irregularity?
I think that's Brian standing behind her. Yeah, I think that's Brian Karim. Could be Karim. Could be. I call him Brian Kareem, and I'm sure that's not right. Anyway, that's Brian, the reporter for Playboy. And she's not allowed to sit. She doesn't have a seat because she's been kicked out of the White House Correspondence. So she just comes in the back and pulls down her mask. It looks like Brian's in the background there. He's got his cell phone. We see a lot of cell phone video from Brian. So he's in the back there. That is him yelling when we hear yelling from the background. That's him.
Where is the FBI?
Yeah, I would refer you to the FBI.
Voter irregularity campaign have presented in terms of real-time data evidence of voter irregularity. Where is the FBI?
Yeah.
She asked the same question of Rudy yesterday. That where's the FBI? How come the FBI isn't investigating the election? And of course, the FBI is like, well, we're good. I mean, we don't have any evidence of widespread voter fraud. It doesn't exist. Remember yesterday at the conference, they talked about all this evidence that they had that they couldn't share to protect the evidence.
I would refer you to the FBI on that, to the DOJ on that. There's
Spoken with the FBI in the last 3 weeks.
not that I'm aware of, but look, I would say that there are real questions on mass mail-out voting. We have put those questions forward, and we said this for the better part of a year. There was a bipartisan commission that talked about and identified the real potential for fraud with mass mail-in voting. Also, something that I would note is just we talked a lot about transfer of power in the election, and it's worth remembering that this president was never
Again, mass mail-out voting is not new. We've done it before, and there's no evidence that it increases fraud. And by the way, CISA has come out, the cyber intelligence unit of the United States, and said, yeah, no, most secure election we've ever had. And of course, then Trump fired the guy.
given an orderly transition of power. His presidency was never accepted. In fact, before his election, we know Crossfire Hurricane was launched by Peter Strzok to pursue a baseless allegations about the president's ties with Russia. That's before...
That turned out to be true. President Trump enabled Russian assault on our democracy. That's what the Senate Intel Committee, the Republican-led Senate Intel Committee confirmed in their report.
He was president trying to subvert the will of the American people. We know in August, Peter Strzok wrote a text message about an insurance policy against a Trump presidency, once again trying to silence the voice of the American people.
Very quickly about the insurance policy. What the comment was it's like having an insurance policy. It's like having life insurance before when you're not even 40 yet. You're never going to need it. That's what they were saying. It wasn't saying like, oh, we're going to invest just in case he wins the election. We'll take him down with this. It was the exact opposite of that. Lisa Page was talking about like, why would we pay for life insurance before we're 40? Like no one does that. It's a waste of money. Nobody dies before they're 40. That's before COVID, obviously.
People in 2016, we know in October that there was a FISA warrant taken out to spy on the Trump campaign. And then the American people spoke. And
it was not taken out to spy on the Trump campaign. It was taken out to spy on Carter Page. It was done incorrectly, by the way. Carter Page was no longer part of the Trump campaign. He'd been fired a month before the FISA warrant went into effect, before it was even applied for. So it's nonsense. And Crossfire Hurricane had already begun. Trump's campaign had been under investigation for months before the there was the FISA warrant. There's no reason for the FISA warrant to spy on the Trump campaign. They were already being investigated.
They spoke commandingly in electing President Trump despite all of the odds.
Hold on.
And they spoke taken out to spy on the Trump campaign. And then the American people spoke, and they spoke commandingly.
The American people spoke commandingly for Hillary. The American people chose Hillary. The Electoral College chose Trump. The American people chose commandingly chose Hillary.
In electing President Trump despite all of the odds. And what happened after he was elected? You had 70 lawmakers say we're not coming to his inauguration, Democratic lawmakers. You had Elizabeth Warren saying we're going to attempt to obstruct the Trump transition by urging the Government Accountability Office to investigate the incoming Trump transition.
Yeah, and there were still millions of dollars outstanding that have disappeared from the Trump inauguration fund. Nobody knows what happened to him. And if that had happened with Obama's inauguration, it would still be the headlines on Fox News. And OAN would just be eating it up all day long. But nobody even knows. None of you could probably tell me the details.
In January...
I'm sure some of you could. But it's just part of the zeitgeist of Trump.
January of that year, you had President Obama have a by-the-book meeting where they talked about the Logan Act, using that act.
Right. It was by the book. That's what Obama kept telling everyone, I want to do this by the book. Everybody, we're doing this by the book. Yes. That's true. Oh, sure. Oh, sure it was by the book. Oh, it was legal and constitutionally ethical. Yeah, it was.
To go after Lieutenant General Michael Flynn, Just before the inauguration, you had BuzzFeed promoting and publishing this bogus Steele dossier that's been widely debunked. And then for 2 years, you had the basis Mueller investigation, which searched for collusion, found none, and
No, absolutely dead wrong. The Mueller report did not search for collusion. Collusion is not illegal. It says at page 2 of the report, it says, we're not looking for collusion. We're looking for conspiracy. That's different. We are not looking for collusion. 200 pages of examples of collusion.
exonerated President Trump. While in 2016,
I think that's the thing that bugs me the most about all this is now it's all the fake Russia collusion story, that the collusion delusion that never happened. Oh, the collusion and collusion was never investigated as a crime because it's not a crime. And it says so, right? You don't even have to read 3 pages to get there. And they couldn't prove conspiracy because the Trump campaign, this is page 10, deleted emails and encrypted communication and pled the 5th. And Donald will tell you that innocent people don't plead the 5th.
President Trump became the duly elected president. Many sought to undermine him, discredit him, delegitimize him, and deny his victory. There were no calls for unity. There were no calls for healing.
Trump himself has admitted that Russia helped him win the election.
So while every legal vote is counted, let us not forget the inexcusable transition, or lack thereof, that President Trump had to endure in 2016 and 4 years into his presidency.
No, Trump got full access to the government. 2 days after the election, he was sitting in the White House with President Trump. That's history. We know that.
Thank you, everyone, for the...
Obama instructed his people to assist President Trump in the transition in any way possible, to do everything by the book.
Very good and substantive questions today.
Do you understand that he lost?
Brian yelling, do you understand that he lost?
I don't call on activists.
I'm not an activist.
She doesn't call on activists. She just told a reporter she doesn't call on activists.
Listen, you've been taking questions since October 1st, and you just took...
Oh, I think that's Caitlin Collins from CNN. Hold on. Sounds like her. That's where we are. I recognize reporters by their voice now. I'm there with probably 40 senators. I can recognize them just by their voice. Keep in mind, there's about 50 senators we don't even know. We never hear from them.
Understand that he lost?
I don't call on activists.
I'm not an activist, and you've been taking questions since October 1st, and you just took...
He hasn't taken questions since October 1st. Sounded like Caitlin Collins. Calling the press activist press. I don't know if it was or not. But yeah, they're not happy with CNN. I don't like. Let's see who that was. Someone on the Twitters will know. I don't call on activists. Somebody in the press room. It was Caitlin Collins. Yeah. McEnany answered press conference briefing in weeks. First press conference briefing in weeks by telling CNN's Caitlin Collins, I don't call on activists. And that's a good point. She just called on Channel Rion from OAN. Wow. Oh, Collins replied, that's not doing your job, your taxpayer-funded job. Point for Caitlin.
Years into his presidency. Thank you, everyone, for the very good and substantive questions today.
Do you understand that he lost?
I don't call on activists.
I'm not an activist, and you've been taking questions since October 1st, and you just took about 5, Kayleigh. That's not doing your job. Your taxpayer-funded job.
In 2016 and 4 years.
Point for Caitlin. Oh, just ridic. All of it is just ridic. All of it. All of it. Someone wanted to watch Rachel. I don't want to get this. It doesn't matter if this is demonetized. I'm not making any money anyway. Gonna be dead of COVID in 3 weeks, I'm sure. So let's take a look. Let's pull it up. Let's first finish watching Kayleigh from yesterday here. Maybe we'll do that later. Yeah, we'll save that for later. Let's watch Raquel. We go to Rachel. Rachel Maddow. There she is.
Like kombucha or yogurt. And
kombucha.
I'm at home. I have to do this myself. Phone. In love. So where was I? Cable on my shoulder. Yeah, I think the cable might just stay on my shoulder, you guys.
Oh, hey, has anyone heard from Allison? Allison, are you here? You were going to get a COVID test or something today? Or you're going to get results? There's a couple of us in the Kayleigh family, as you call yourself, that have had either tests or are going to get tests because they've been exposed to COVID in the last few days. So has anyone heard any positive and or negative news?
I'm not sure there's anything I can do about that. Is that better? All right. Okay. So, as I was saying, I'm in love. And Susan really is the center of my universe. And
this crushed me, by the way, because I've always thought in the back of my mind, I'm going to marry Rachel someday. I just love Rachel. I'm in love. She's the center of my universe. I always thought I would marry Rachel one day, and I did look into it at some point. I Googled Rachel Maddow's husband. She doesn't have one. And then this.
The way that I think about it is not that she is the sun and I'm a planet that orbits her. That would give too much credit to the other planets. It is, I think of it as a much more pitiful thing that she is the planet and I am a satellite. And I'm up there sort of beep, beep, beeping at her and blinking my lights and just trying to make her happy. She really is. I'm just lucky. I am one of the lucky people on this earth who has a life like that. She is the center of my life. She's the organizing principle of my life. My relationship with Susan is the only thing at the end of the day that I would kill or die for without hesitation. And Susan has been sick with COVID these past couple of weeks. And at one point, we really thought that there was a possibility that it might kill her. And that's why I've been away. Susan tested positive 2 weeks ago. We separated from each other that day because I tested negative that day. She tested positive. So she and I have both been alone since then. While we have, I've continued to test.
So updates on COVID. If you can't see the chat room, Allison had the test earlier today. We'll get results Monday, hopefully Tuesday on the outside. Good. Let us know. Babe has had symptoms. And Dr. Howard, her rapid test came back negative. We saw that yesterday. And then she's waiting for the long-term results as well from the more accurate PCR test.
Stayed negative. And she has not only been positive over this time, she's gotten sicker and sicker while I tried to care for her while still staying physically apart from her. And the bottom line is that she's going to be fine. She is recovering. She's still sick, but she's going to be okay. And we're not scared anymore like we were. But it really didn't feel like it was going okay at the outset. And I mean, like I'm sure, warts and all, right? I'm willing to show you all of this. I don't know you at home except through this medium, but just believe me. Whatever you have calculated into your life as acceptable risk, as, inevitable risk, something that you're willing to go through in terms of this virus, because statistically, hey, probably it will be fine for you and your loved ones. I'm just here to tell you to recalibrate that. Frankly, the country needs you to recalibrate that because, broadly speaking, there's no room for you in the hospital anymore. And so we've got more people in the hospital right now than we've had since the beginning of this episode.
Okay. So that was she's very much in love with Susan, which is very sweet. She occasionally tells stories about Susan on the air. And I am so jealous of Susan. Rachel's mind is one that I would love to have access to. Of course, she is lesbian, and of course I knew that prior to last night. But it just hurts. It hurts every time. Like a knife twisting. No, she is brilliant. And I love myself a brilliant mind. And I hope that you all can find yourself a brilliant mind. They're out there. And they're not mega. By the way, I'm going to end the broadcast here because Kayleigh daughter's got a doctor's appointment or something and wants me to go with her. I can't go in. She can drive. I don't know. Apparently, I haven't abdicated all my responsibilities. Stop it? Stop what? What am I doing that's bad? Everyone is talking now. Not everybody, but a lot of people are talking and saying like, hey, I don't get why some of my friends, some of my family support Trump. They're not stupid. They're not ignorant. And for a lot of them, it's just they don't have access to the correct information. They've been in a bubble. They don't know the truth because they just hear Giuliani talk, and no one's fact checking for them. Here's the thing, though. A lot of them are idiots. A lot of them are idiots. That's all. No excuses. You can be in that bubble, but then once someone... for example, Governor Newsom turns out to be a big hypocrite. Because, hey, everybody, be careful. Wear your mask. Don't be with other groups. Stay apart. Do the press conference. I'm here, and the interpreters in the other room, and we're being as safe as we possibly can be. And then he goes and he has dinner at the French Laundry with 9-10 other people, and they're not wearing masks, and they're in a shut room, and they're making noise, and they hang around for a couple of hours. He's a hypocrite. And once I learned that, and again, not a Democrat, I'm an independent, but once I supported Newsom because I think he did a pretty good job with the COVID so far. But when you become a hypocrite like that and just load ammunition into the other side's barrel, resign. You're done. I will not vote for Gavin Newsom if he's on the ballot the next time I go to vote. I'm not going to forget this. This kills people. And people on the other side, if that's what you want to call it, they should be the same. When new information is presented, process, and come to a conclusion. Anyway, Gavin Newsom should resign. I think for myself. And I hope you do too. Speaking of which, it is time for me to, get ready to go to a doctor or something. Should probably shower. I do like that my hair has a nice little, here it is, Superman curl in there somewhere. I just like that. I got to get my hair cut. I think Kevin Daughter is probably going to do that this weekend. I don't call it hair anymore. I call it locks. Look at that. I look like Squiggy from Laverne and Shirley. This is how I'm going to wear it from now on. It's very emo. I've gotten used to looking through my hair, by the way. I've never understood how people do it, like the women's with their long hairs. Never understood it. Or, you know who else is a god amongst men? Dave Grohl from the Foo Fighters. Here's your homework, kids. I want you to go to the YouTube and look up. I'll find a good version for you. Hold on, I'm going to show you which version to watch. Oh yeah, okay, I know what it's called. Hold on, I'm going to look at my YouTube history because I was just watching this the other day, and I'll share it with you guys. Okay, let's go to history and search my history. Oh, can I search my history? Why can't I search? Oh, there it is. So they changed where it was. This. I can't play it for you. I'll bring it over so you can see it. So it's from Vivo. And I will pull it up, but I'll turn the sound off. Let's see if this is the one.
Well, I've got another confession to make.
Dave Grohl singing Best of You, which in itself just is poetry. It's an incredible song. It's post-breakup, still very much in love. It's an amazing piece of art. I should probably pause it too. But it's from Skin and Bones. So if you search for Best of You, Skin and Bones, it's live in Hollywood 2006. An incredible performance. And the way that he sings, I don't know how he can talk for the next 3 days. So that's your homework. Experience that because it's a work of art. And art is subjective. I get to decide what art is. And so do you. And in my opinion, that's art. And he seems to be an excellent human. But I'm going to just throw this out there. Most underrated musician possibly in history. Here's the guy who put together Foo Fighters. And not only does he fight Foo, that by itself would put him in top 20 in my categories. Also founding member of Nirvana. Outside of the Beatles, I don't know anyone else who comes close to that double-edged sword of music. Vaya con Dios, Kathleen. Yeah, Todd Summer has an excellent definition of art. Anything he can't do. It's true. That is an excellent definition of art. Anyway, that's your homework, kids. Go watch Foo Fighters, Skin and Bones, Best of You. And probably, if that whole concert is on there, watch that as well. But it's just an amazing performance. A little bit more of that. And just the minor chords of the guitar underneath, just all of it. Just try playing that song without singing that song. Because it's just pure vitriol. Embraced by love. And you're there after you've been broken up with, you're there. If you were in love, you're there. And it's sarcasm. Too. It's an amazing piece of art. And it makes, I'll tell you what art is. Art is something that evokes an emotional response. If it's intended to. Like people saying the N-word at a shopping market. That's not art. Let's not go crazy there. But this brings out emotions in me that I might not even be feeling. And that's what art is. And so, yeah, Grey's Anatomy, that's art to a certain extent. I was on Grey's Anatomy. Weird Al is art. He makes me laugh. Weird Al is full of art. Weird Al, in fact, is able to do what he does because the Supreme Court has determined that what he does produces a new work of art, and that is what protects parody and satire from being sued. So when Weird Al does Eat It to Beat It, he can't be sued for that. He gets permission from the artist most of the time anyway. But when he does that, he is protected under the Fair Use Act because he's created a new work of art. So Weird Al is legally art. I hope someday I'm sued. That'd be fun. Hey, I've got a video to edit too. Maybe I'll come on later today and you guys can help me edit the video for He Didn't Start the Virus. He didn't stop the virus. Speaking of voices going, see, I'm not even singing like him. And my voice is already going for today. Guys, be safe. It's scary out there. It's Friday. TGIF. Have yourself a great day, and maybe we'll see you later.
Someone getting the best. I've got another confession.